The CEO laughed as she walked past him, a sharp, careless laugh meant to be forgotten in seconds. He was just a man in worn shoes, holding a frayed leash, walking a scarred old dog through the cleanest street in the city. Nothing about him looked important. Nothing about the dog looked impressive. And yet, less than 20 minutes later, that same dog would be the reason an armed criminal was stopped. Lives were saved, and the CEO would be forced to confront a truth she had spent her entire life running from, because power doesn't always wear suits, and heroes don't always look the way we expect. Stay until the end, because the moment that dog moves, everything changes. Evelyn Cross had built her empire on control. Control over markets, people, outcomes. As the CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech firms in the city, she walked with the confidence of someone who believed the world moved because she allowed it to. That morning, dressed in a tailored coat and surrounded by the quiet respect of passing employees, she stepped out of her office building already irritated. A board meeting had gone poorly. Someone had questioned her judgment. She hated that. That's when she saw him. He stood near the curb, waiting to cross the street, holding the leash of an old German Shepherd mix. The dog's fur was patchy, its ear torn, its body stiff with age and old injuries. The man himself looked just as worn. Jacket faded, hands rough, posture slightly bent as if life had leaned on him too long. The dog sat calmly at his side, perfectly still, perfectly focused. Evelyn barely slowed her steps. She glanced once, then laughed under her breath. "People will walk anything these days," she muttered, not caring who heard. The man did hear. He didn't respond. He didn't look angry. He simply tightened his grip on the leash, resting a gentle hand on the dog's head. The dog didn't move. Just watched Evelyn as she walked away, its dark eyes alert, intelligent, and far too aware for a creature that looked so broken. The man's name was Daniel Reed. Once he had served his country. Once he had trained dogs like this one for situations most people never wanted to imagine. Once he had believed that doing the right thing mattered. But life didn't reward him for that. Injuries ended his service. Medical bills drained his savings. Friends drifted away. Employers looked at his gaps and scars and quietly chose someone else. The dog, Max, was the only thing he had left from that life. Retired. Labeled too aggressive by people who never understood discipline, loyalty, or restraint. Daniel understood. Max wasn't aggressive. He was trained, and training never disappears. Daniel didn't walk Max for attention. He walked him because routine kept them both grounded, because the streets were quieter in the morning, because it reminded him he still had purpose. As Evelyn disappeared into her car, Daniel felt the familiar sting of being invisible. But he had learned something over the years. Dignity didn't require recognition. Max's ears twitched. Daniel noticed immediately. The dog's body tensed, not in fear, but in focus. His breathing slowed. His eyes locked toward the corner of the street, a convenience store just ahead. Daniel followed Max's gaze and felt it too. Something was wrong. Then the shouting began. A man burst out of the store, face pale, eyes wild, clutching a handgun. Behind him, a cashier screamed. People froze. Cars stopped mid-intersection. Panic rippled through the street like electricity. Evelyn's car was still parked nearby. She was still inside, and she had no idea what was coming, incoherently waving the gun as he backed into traffic. His hands shook. His finger rested dangerously close to the trigger. People screamed and scattered, some ducking behind cars, others frozen in terror. Evelyn sat in the back seat of her car, frozen. For the first time in years, she had no control. The gunman turned, and their eyes met. In that instant, Evelyn realized how fragile power truly was. No board, no money, no influence could protect her now. She tried to scream, but her voice caught in her throat. That's when Max broke position. Daniel didn't shout. He didn't panic. He gave a single, quiet command, the kind spoken only by someone who truly understands trust. Max moved like lightning. The dog crossed the distance in seconds, low and fast, a blur of muscle and instinct. The gunman barely had time to react before Max launched, striking his arm with precision. The gun flew from his hand. Max didn't maul. He didn't lose control. He pinned the man exactly as trained, holding him down until police arrived moments later. Silence fell over the street. Then sirens. People stared in disbelief. Evelyn stepped out of her car slowly, legs shaking, heart pounding. She watched as Daniel calmly walked over, clipped the leash back onto Max, and checked the dog for injuries before even glancing at the man he had just saved. Saved. Her. Their eyes met again, but this time Evelyn couldn't laugh. She saw the truth now. Not weakness, not failure. Strength forged quietly. Purpose carried without applause. Loyalty deeper than any contract she had ever signed. Later, when the police praised Max as a hero and reporters crowded the scene, Daniel tried to leave. He didn't want attention. He never had. But Evelyn stopped him. Her voice shook as she spoke. "I mocked you," she said. "And I was wrong." Daniel looked at her, not with bitterness, but calm acceptance. "Most people are," he replied gently. In the weeks that followed, Evelyn couldn't forget that moment. She funded a veteran training program. She changed how she hired. She changed how she judged. And every morning when she walked past people she once ignored, she remembered the man with the dog and the life that saved hers without asking for anything in return. Because sometimes the ones we overlook are the ones holding the line for all of us. And sometimes the greatest power in the room is quiet loyalty on a frayed leash. Never measure worth by appearance. Never confuse silence with weakness. And never forget it. Respect costs nothing, but arrogance can cost everything.